Hello and welcome to Campaign Comrades, your favorite leftist gaming podcast. I am your host, Ben, and the whole gang is here. Matt, Mike, Andrew, how are you guys?
But
You ready to
Doing
descend
good.
into hell?
Ready to talk
in
about
the movie
this?
it wasn't hell.
Or in this case, ascend to Mars.
yeah, send to Mars.
I'm ready to talk about this Connecticution man that hides his origins.
The
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
we're gonna have to dive fully into that. We are at our monthly adaptation review episode, folks. We are covering, we've teased it. We are covering the 2005 film Doom with The Rock, because this was back when he was still being billed as at least
Absolutely.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
No, he was still just this.
No, he was
for
It was
sure
just
The Rock.
The Rock.
Yeah,
it was
for
just
sure.
The
The
Rock.
Rock.
In 2005, definitely.
Yeah. Because this is like the beginning of his movie career. You know, like early, still
It's like
early
one
on.
of his first. It's
Yeah.
one of his first.
Because was it Mummy 2 when Scorpion King was in it?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And that was his
like
first
his first
real role,
role,
I believe.
Yeah,
And then he did an actual Scorpion King movie.
which I love. I love that
It is
movie.
fun. It is fun.
I fucking love that movie. But I didn't know that he was from Connecticut.
Yeah, I mean he lived in Hamden, Connecticut.
Well, this says he was
Shouts out
born in
Hamden.
Hayward, California. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Because you said that didn't he and your dad like lift at the same gym or something?
No. My dad's like best friend's little sister was the same age as The Rock, and they were good friends. He went to middle school in Hamden.
Okay.
So it was like for 2 years. But I think it's hilarious because he's got this new show, and part of it is in middle school, and he's not at fucking Michael Whalen in Hamden, Connecticut. I can tell you that much. You know, just hiding those New England
I'd
upbringings.
like to circle back to, you called it Connecticution?
Yeah,
Connecticutter, my friend.
Connecticutter.
Connecticutter. So yeah, I learned about Connecticution, and it was just nutmeggers. That was the way we referred to ourselves. But
I mean, everything south of
Connecticution.
Vermont is Flatlander.
yeah,
So
fair.
I'm looking at his IMDb page right now. And so obviously it starts with, his wrestling career.
Yes.
His first role outside of wrestling was actually basically playing the fictionalized version of his father in the episode of That 70s Show, where he plays Rocky Johnson.
which is that's his dad.
Yeah. He plays. So there's a wrestling episode. He's in an episode of Star Trek Voyager. It's like, and I've seen all of Star Trek. I've seen like every episode of Star Trek. So, like, why am I not remembering that?
The champion.
He's the champion.
He must be someone they have to fight.
No. It is like a gladiatorial episode, and I do remember that. I do remember that episode now, actually. But yeah, his first movie role is as the Scorpion King in The Mummy Returns, and you'll see all this stuff.
You did miss Method Man's and Wyclef Jean's music videos.
Those are music videos. Those are music videos. I'm saying
Important parts of the filmography.
So he's in a bunch of video games. Most of them are just wrestling
Mummy.
adaptations. But yeah, he's in his first actual movie role, is as the Scorpion King in
I
The
think
Mummy Returns.
technically unaccredited. He is in like NCAA football or some shit too.
Huh.
Because he played like collegiate football, and I think he was on
Played
the
at Miami.
No,
Yeah, I
you-
was gonna say
and
he was on the
and
Dolphins.
He was a D end.
I
Yeah.
did get to it. You are correct. Doom was his last film
Yeah,
where he
Gridiron
went
Gang.
solely as The Rock. Gridiron Gang, which I remember seeing in theaters.
Yep.
That was
That's
his first
amazing.
as Dwayne The Rock Johnson. That's when he started switching over. Yeah,
he got more professional. No?
We'll totally get into it, but it was a bit of a twist for me. Like, I am going into this movie thinking, oh yeah, The Rock, he's going to be your Doom guy. He's Sarge. He's the guy.
They set it up really well the whole time. He gets the BFG, which I've been hinting at in the
don't
group
like
chat
that
the entire
choice.
time. I hate what they call it.
Me too.
Well, it's its real title is the Bioforce gun, but he does say "big fucking gun."
He does. Yeah,
he does say it. He does say it, and I did at several times in this film. I did the Leo pointing at the screen. I did it several times. And that is one of them. But he does call it the big fucking gun. Of course, the scientists aren't going to call it the big fucking gun. Come on.
No, they need to. That's what it says in the games when you pick it up.
Yeah.
Apparently, that was one of the huge criticisms of fans. Because let's do our overall things. What did we think of this as a film? And then we'll get into the adaptation. We thought of it as an adaptation and the plot.
Doo-doo trash film, but amazing at the same time.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those.
They did a really good job of making the lighting so shit, so you can't tell how bad the effects are.
The creature effects, like
the physical and CG effects.
Well, yeah, really bad. The monsters look like shit.
If you ever pause and zoom, like try to zoom in on the walls, like oh boy, are those walls made of cardboard?
The one good creature was the one that gets stuck in the nano wall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the one that actually looks good.
Oh, and one of my favorite creatures was at the end, they did an ableism with the wheelchair guy.
The pinky demon, that is again a reference. That's an explicit reference.
Yeah. That's also, that design is direct from Doom 3. The notably worst Doom game.
Which this movie is essentially an adaptation of Doom 3 more than any of the others,
because of the timing of when they released.
Yeah.
I've definitely played the least amount of Doom here, and maybe 2 hours of it.
I've only played classic Doom.
I've played the classic Doom and the 2016 Doom. I have not played the one that I played. The most recent Doom.
I've played Doom 2, Doom 64, and then a little bit of Doom 2016.
It's one I definitely want to get. I want to get it just to be able to It's
one of the best running games on PC.
No,
it's a great benchmark game.
Yeah, and I would totally recommend it. It's a lot of fun. They really nailed it. I have it on the Switch and it's great, so I'm sure the PS5 version, PlayStation or PS4 version, PlayStation versions also, or computer version. Man, I can't.
It runs at it can run up to 90 frames per second on Steam Deck or something like that.
Damn.
Jesus.
Going back to all the way to I think our very first episode where we talk about our gaming history. Doom is largely one of my first video game experiences, as being way too young playing classic Doom with my dad at his office, because of course my mom
but it didn't affect you.
Was puritanical when it came to video gaming, and my dad was a Chad, and it was just yeah, you come hang out at my
that
office
Protestantism
after daycare. After daycare.
Look, you didn't become a murderer. You didn't become a satanic worshiper.
No. The one thing that he actually did the one thing he actually did that I would say harmed me was showing me Predator at too young of age. That gave me nightmares. That definitely gave me nightmares. But Doom never affected me whatsoever.
Yeah, imagine just lying in bed thinking, what are they called? The Yautja. The Yautja is going to come through your window, invisible, remove your spine.
Yeah, no, Doom scared the shit.
Sounds
Doom
like a Jewish folklore.
Yeah, it's a golem or a Dybbuk. Yeah. No, Doom never bothered me whatsoever. I have very fond memories.
Partially because it's a pixel. It's there's pixels in that game.
I don't know, but Joe Lieberman really thought it was going to fuck people up. Another Connecticution shouts out.
Lieberman.
I had this memory formed in my head though, because it had been so long since I'd played classic Doom. I remembered it being darker, as in the lighting and shit. I remember it being much darker, and there are levels where there are lights that go out. But I remember there being some more kind of jump scare elements to it. But then again, never really affected me. But then when I recently bought the classic Doom collection and played it again, it's really not, it's not dark, scary.
You have to
or
remember
anything
that
at all.
you're playing it on better technology as well. Like you were playing on a CRT before, so CRT, the way they project an image is different.
That is true.
They also make a very loud noise when you throw a rock at them and break them.
There are many layers of glass to be shattered. There.
This was Mike's version of what Charlie does on Christmas, throwing rocks at trains.
We had big trash pickup, and I'd go around the neighborhood, and sometimes if you'd throw rocks at a TV and they'd explode, and it was fun.
Yeah, and all the sanitation workers that had to go and pick that shit up.
Yeah,
Like,
probably.
giving them
No,
mercury
they
poisoning.
definitely did pick all of that shit up, and then you just let some animal or child get poisoned.
Yep, probably. Someone's baking something in my apartment building, and it's wafting in here, and now I just want sweet treats. Sorry, I know that's a diversion, but
There are,
there are no sweet treats.
I was
on
gonna say there are very few sweet treats to be had in 2005's Doom movie. There are a few to pick and choose from here, to cherry pick from here and there.
The cage fighting scene.
Oh my
That one's
god!
pretty
one
good.
line in particular that I loved. It was a chef's kiss, and I can't wait till we get to it. I don't want to like spoil it too soon, but it's like it was fantastic. It made the movie for me.
I really like Sarge's Semper Fi tattoo.
Yeah, over his shoulder.
That was great.
over his
Also, when he
fucking
yells
lats,
it at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a callback. It was a callback.
Yeah.
I gotta say, in terms of an adaptation, though, I do think this sucked.
Terrible.
Oh yeah.
It really bothers me that, like, that they're like, it's like, oh yeah, we can't send him to hell. That's too far fetched.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah,
It's so stupid.
We'll do all this other stuff to make
I
it
hate
aliens
that.
and
The Lucy like 24th.
Extra chromosomes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With
Some of them were
superhumans.
good. She
Like,
was
come
good.
on.
She was trying to protect her child.
Like, I
I
think
I
it's
trust that I'm going to
hilarious.
inject you with this serum that won't turn you into a monster.
Yeah. Like to pick
As a Marine.
just for like, no, portal to hell and demons is too far fetched, but
Portal to
humanoids on
Mars.
Mars, on Mars, not too far fetched. Okay.
Hey
And,
man,
like,
Elon said 5 to 10 years from now he's going to have colonies on Mars. So
Get his 24th chromosome. Oh wait.
Yeah. You don't even
Yes.
know they're on Mars for most of it. Like it's a forgotten thing, except when they like talk about the Ark. It's not like they're in a lab. It's not like they're on.
Yeah, it's not like
Which-
it's not like they're out in spacesuits.
Yeah.
Doing anything.
So like
Which
it could have been
the Ark-
anywhere.
the Ark location at Earth also conveniently looks very, very much like the station on Mars, to the point where
Yes.
like I always forget that they do actually end the movie back on Earth.
Back on Earth, yeah, and they're just taking the elevator back up to Earth. They're already on Earth, yeah. It's with the if you it's a blink and you miss it, and they've
Yeah, you wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even know if you miss it.
Honestly, for most of the movie, I didn't even know. Like I literally did not know they were on Mars.
It's because it's the same thing. You look away, and the scene of where they transport
Did a lot of looking away.
Yeah, you see,
and they
you
throw
see,
up. And I have to point out, I hate when movies show people throwing up on screen. Such an unnecessary thing to put into your movie.
Are you a sympathetic vomiter?
Yes.
That seems more like a skill issue than anything else.
Yeah. I also don't know how you have so many cats. You're a sympathetic vomiter.
I don't throw up that much.
All right, so should we get into the actual plot of this travesty? Yet,
Yes.
this as most I think
I
game
think the
adaptations.
plot of
well,
this movie suffices to last week when Mike was describing like his favorite parts of Destiny, which is like shooting and having fun with the boys.
That pretty much what it boils down to, yeah. So we open the film. We're on Mars, the Olduvai research facility on Mars. It's been shut down, placed under quarantine. We see a scene of all these scientists being stalked and chased and killed by an unknown breach. And it starts off great. It's like supposed to be this horror scene, the classic dark hallways, characters getting like wait for me, and then getting yanked
God.
back into the
Yeah.
shadows.
Yep.
But they play
Emergency lights.
they play this ridiculous hair metal track as they're getting eaten that completely undercuts the entire tone of what they're going
Mhm.
for. It's an incredibly silly tone.
And the I think that is absolutely true, and it bothers me even more so because the metal music is an important part of Doom, but they just completely misuse it throughout this entire movie. Like
It's
it's
the
not in
entire
there enough
wrong
in the right
kind of
scenes.
metal. Yeah.
And yeah, just
You need
terrible.
you need death metal,
Yeah.
you need screamo metal, not basically pop
Absolutely.
punk
You need
metal.
Mick Gordon.
Yes, you do. Was he involved in this?
No.
Okay. That was a fuck up on the studio's part.
So we learned that it's been locked down, no one's allowed in or out. I mean, I'd sure hope so. But except for this rapid response tactical squad, the double RTS. Do you think that was like, I'm trying to like read into it? I'm just like, was the RTS thing, is that supposed to be, I mean, it's like Doom's not
Just
a
like a
real-time
wink, wink, nudge,
strategy.
nudge, like you're a gamer.
It's a video game term. Like, here's something you can think into, like, look into it more
Should have
than
been
you
the
should.
FPS team then.
No, they should have done something like that. But yeah, it's this heavily armed. They're the Space
Final
Marines.
posterior support.
They're dispatched to handle the problem. They're led by Sarge the Rock, and then you've got John Reaper Grimm, played by Carl Urban, serving as the second in command.
Carl Urban,
That's
as
the
I
guy
said
from
on
Bad.
stream, doing his best job not to act.
absolutely
movie.
phoning it in. Absolutely phoning it in.
That's the guy from
Homeland.
the superhero movie or show Bad Boys.
Yeah,
whatever.
he's Butcher from
Boys, yeah.
from the Boys.
The
Yeah.
Boys. Yeah, Bad Boys. Bad Boys. Bad Boys.
I looked this up.
He's
to
in
see,
a
like,
lot of stuff.
so he's Éomer from Lord of the
I
Rings.
just didn't know
which
his name.
which is a great role. He's a good actor, so I'm just like,
Yeah.
when did this
he
happen?
absolutely just
And-
collected a paycheck for this movie.
Like,
Saw
think
the
of who he
cardboard
was.
sets and was like, okay.
Yeah, and like who he was acting with. Like The Rock at points was just shouting, and that was like his form of acting, was just talking louder. And like the only
Yeah, but that's what a Marine sergeant would do,
He's-
right?
I thought he was a pretty good Marine, to be honest.
I feel like he yelled at the wrong times. Like when he was like when they gave him moments for like a monologue to like, or like to build his character, he was just shouting. So yeah, sure. He was a good Marine because he's a fucking dumbass.
because he's a big old dum dum. Yeah.
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 I mean, it wasn't
sure.
it was a not perfect, accurate portrayal of Marines. They didn't have their tactical crayon pouch.
Fair. But I will
When there's
say
a little bit of downtime.
Yeah.
This movie has good politics.
It actually had some decent commentary there. On,
It does.
troops,
It does.
on troops. Yeah.
I will say about The Rock, the points where he was good at acting was obviously the stunt stuff, because it was just like there
Mhm.
was at points where they might as well have just been in the cage, between the ropes.
I mean, well, this character was, I think, very much meant to be like, he's essentially is just playing his ring persona.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just is The Rock.
Well, and hence the shout.
Which is another, little meta turn on what the audience's expectation is, because The Rock was a babyface. So, just another.
He had a heel turn at one point.
Yeah.
But no, he ran.
They never
he
could
went
make him
through
a
it.
real heel. The audience
Too
never hated him.
Yeah, too
I
popular.
think he was a heel towards the end. They're like trying to make a
I
turn.
mean, that
and-
happens a lot. That
He's a
happens a
heel
lot.
now as an actor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we get our introductions then to the rest of the squad, and they've all got these code names, and that's what they go by. We've got the no nonsense religious zealot, goat, which also, again, that bothers me. There's a big religious guy, and yet they don't do the hell stuff. Come on, it's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They try to have it both
Catholic
ways,
in
and,
there.
and I don't like that. You've got the kid, the fresh faced recruit.
Yeah, I
You've
love that
got-
Matt like memorized the names, and Ben was just like, "No, I just need the archetypes."
Yeah,
And it is so true. Like, I don't know any of their names.
I'm
like,
looking at it now
I mean,
side
you
by
don't
side
need to know their
with the
names.
IMDb
They don't
page.
need, like,
yeah,
Yeah.
they are nameless Marines that are going to be dead.
Yeah, you got the badass heavy hitter. I think that one's Destroyer.
Yep.
The silent Asian guy, who's got like one line. Mac, yeah. Then you get my personal
which
favorite,
is
the
racism
pervert.
there.
Yeah, no, it is absolutely.
Yeah.
But like then you get my favorite one is the pervert.
Yep, he was great.
Yes.
Pervert
Who also has some
Portman.
of the best lines. He
Yes.
has like several awesome lines in this movie. I
Played
can
by
dig him.
played by Richard Brake, who is a pretty popular character actor.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
always good.
Who was the guy that was hitting on
That's
scientist?
what's his face?
How did
Have
you
it written
describe
down.
him?
I put him down as he's the
Duke.
gamer. Duke. He's the gamer. He's playing a video game, and I
Yeah,
have
yeah,
that
yeah.
point here.
In-
He is a
I
true
love
gamer
that that's
because
what they
he's
thought future video games look like.
Yes. And one thing I want to talk about quickly is Duke and Destroyer have some undisclosed or never
It's like-
discussed prior
yeah,
relationship.
are they like brothers or something?
But
Because she asked him about, do you have family? He's like, no, all I got is Destroyer.
Yeah, and it's like, is that just because they're the two black guys?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what they is. Like, yeah, they must know each other.
There's another like great line that goes well with this, but I want to save it for later. It's my fucking favorite. I'm
Yeah,
so
but,
juiced
but,
up.
but Duke is the real gamer because he is, both horny and terrible with women and dies getting zero pussy.
Yep.
No Riz.
I don't know. I think Samantha was kind of feeling it.
She did.
There's a
No,
little.
she did.
there's
Alright,
a
so we're
yeah,
getting
yeah.
to my favorite line. I'm just gonna fucking do it.
Oh, it's about his
It's
dick.
when Duke and Samantha are having a conversation, and she's like, secretly, I know you have a big heart, and he
Yeah.
goes, that's not the only thing that's secretly big. And in 2005, the fucking theaters were fucking clapping, laughing.
whooping.
They were like, I made a
All
big
7
dick
people in the
joke.
movie theater.
Yeah.
I was like, that was just perfect 2005. It was beautiful.
This was neither a critical nor commercial success. It did not make its budget.
No, it made like $28 million on like
The
a
fact
$75
that-
million budget.
The way that I knew this movie was bad was because it was on the Sci-Fi Channel constantly. And the
Always,
Sci-Fi Channel only
always.
played bad movies constantly.
That's how they made their money back. It was just
Oh, yeah.
licensing it to the Sci-Fi Channel. Just over years and years of just running it on fucking Sci-Fi.
Just countless times as a youth, it'd be like a Saturday night and be like, oh look, Doom's on again. I'll watch Doom.
So, Mike, you already mentioned Samantha, Dr. Samantha Grimm. Where have I heard that name before? She is Reaper's estranged sister. So he's got us, a vested interest in this mission.
And they do a nice little incest joke to get us, they make you think it's a love
Yeah.
interest at first,
Yeah.
and then like,
Loosen
oh,
you
it's
up.
his sister.
Like,
Well,
Reaper,
that
how'd
gets
you love
Duke
a
all
nice
horny.
piece of ass?
Yeah,
let
well, I
go.
mean-
So yeah, they're objectifying Rosamund Pike from the get-go.
Yeah. Well, and the incest joke was just like a little layup for the horniness of Duke to come out.
She's one of the research scientists on Olduvai, and what
She might as well be the research scientist because
Yeah.
she's the only,
the only one
really
we see. Yeah, the note I have here is she's played by Rosamund Pike, and apparently Reaper and Samantha, they're brother and sister, and they share the same family trait of not being able to carry a consistent accent.
Their family accent is no accent.
It's like
Or
they're
just Tom Hardy.
their actions just keep coming through. Rosamund Pike, I think, is British, and Carl Urban is Australian, and so just like both of them, just maybe Rosamund Pike is Australian too. I don't know.
No, she's British. She's British.
Well, technically, the Australians are also British. They're just like British.
They're just
penal
they're
colony.
just deviant Britons.
Yeah, there you go.
More deviant,
Yeah.
not the deviant,
The
the,
most
the non-sorry.
But and they've got history, apparently their parents also used to work on the Mars station and they got killed there too. That's Also
And
something
they
that's,
reopen the facility because that's a smart plan. Yeah.
Yeah,
but they
well, I
don't talk
think it
about
was,
what
like,
they got
their
killed by.
project.
Yeah, they don't say like what they got killed by, because it's not the demons.
But I think it's something that's related to it, because like she was continuing their research of, like,
Yeah,
making
and it's something that
superhumans.
brought in, like, he's a special Marine because he's basically, he knows science and stuff. Like his parents tried to get him to be a scientist too, and he's like, no, I'm gonna go be a jarhead instead.
Nah,
You
yeah.
see,
Special
the
'cause his
perfect
IQ 's above
opportunity to
70.
show that without telling us would be if they gave everyone else their tactical crayons and he didn't have them.
My favorite line that proved this was a 2005 movie was like, she asked him, like, what do you how do you think your life would be different if you were looking through a microscope instead of a sniper scope?
Yes,
And I was
I
like-
love that line.
I was absolutely hooting when
Hooting and hollering.
when that line dropped. It was like whichever writer wrote that line, deserved a bonus.
Yeah.
He sprinkled that on there like Salt Bay.
Yeah, some real style right there. So,
Well, that's some
There-
like Iraq war, some people starting to get waking up to the idea that it's just a fucking, money grab.
is that it's just like the imperial war machine does not care about you. So they're all supposed to be on leave, and they get this mission called in, and because of his his history, like, Sarge can't be sure that Reaper can be objective, so he's like, I'm recommending that you don't come on the mission, and he doesn't show up until the last minute, and then, like, just as they're they're getting in the chopper to go to the Ark teleportation site, he gives this line. This was my first instance of Leo pointing at the camera. Reaper's loading his weapon, is like looking down, and then looks up, gives him gives Sarge the stare, and he goes, gotta face your demons sometime. And it's just like they're
And-
doing it.
Another hell reference as they're on their way to Mars.
Right. No, it's
Fight aliens.
Yeah, to fight aliens. But yeah, that's
Not
the
even
most they're
aliens,
giving you.
humans that turned into monsters.
But that's the most that they'll give you in terms of, you're fighting demons. They're just your own demons. The real demons are the friends we made along the way. So they travel through this wormhole thing that was originally discovered by the original researchers on Mars or whatever. It's some tech that the ancient Martian civilization had created, and it's just like a big blob of goop that transports you.
Really bad
instantaneously.
CGI goop.
So they
Honestly,
travel
better
there.
than Disney Plus shows now, to be honest. Like, I do want to throw that out there. The
Yes.
CGI and the effects in this movie, better than
However,
She-Hulk.
I will say, James Cameron's Terminator 2 came out way before this movie, and he did the silver goop much better with the T2.
Well,
They could
I
have
mean,
used that tech.
James has got, so.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here thinking, imagine being the first person to have to go through the goop portal.
Hey, you end up
You turn out like
end up
Pinky.
missing your
Yeah,
lower
you-
half.
Yeah, you end up like Pinky, get your ass sent to another galaxy. Yeah, so
And,
they're
poor
they're
Pinky,
greeted.
he didn't even get cut off at like the waist. He got cut off at the waist and then down the crotch.
Yeah.
So like his balls and cock just got like
gone. They're
vaporized.
gone.
Obliterated.
Yeah.
Some advanced cock and ball torture there. But so Pinky becomes literally their man in the chair. He's in a wheelchair that's grafted to his body.
It is cool though, because he like doesn't have to wheel anything or press anything. He just thinks and it moves.
The Marines enter the quarantine area. They discover some gross experiments in the lab, an electrified holding cell, some cool new weapons, that are references to the games. You get like the first look at the BFG. I'm pretty sure you probably see the chain gun there too, but like doesn't really get used.
That's one of my complaints. They underutilize the cool weapons from the games.
So someone had it here. They were really pissed off about the use of the BFG.
Yes.
It only fires 3 shots, and one of them is off camera.
Yes.
And none of which are depicted impacting any creatures.
No, it's awful. I hate the use of the BFG. It's wasted. It's wasted.
And it looks hilarious. and like
It
it
looks-
shoots
it's
out some
awesome.
gross mucus.
Yeah, just some blue goo.
Plasma.
Some blue goo.
Yeah, like that was always like like Sarge has this line like, I need to go get myself like, a bigger gun or whatever because their regular guns aren't working on one of them, and then at the very end, you see the guy killing them with, regular weapons. So it's just
Yeah.
like some little nitpicky inconsistencies there that are annoying. They eventually, discover that the monsters that they're fighting, they're going around trying to search to find all the it's like there's a
Missing
six-member
scientists.
scientist team that's gone. They're trying to take stock of who's who, and they're coming across these monsters. Some of them have changed into these zombie-like monsters, and then others have mutated further, becoming monsters, the demons, the imps from the game.
And first they discover Van Gogh. And that's like one of the
Right,
ways
the
they
the lead scientist who rips his own fucking ear off.
yeah, and then was like he whispers something as he's dying. I forget exactly what he says, but like warns them.
Basically to get the fuck out of here.
The real demons are actually the capitalists trying to profit off of research.
Extra chromosomes.
Yeah.
Because they get into it. It's like their mission is partially about to see what these guys are doing, but it's about recovering the data.
Yeah, and recovering
protect
all
the
the
investment,
tech.
yeah.
Yeah, just like how China's trying to get their balloon back.
Some real cutting edge tech there.
Yeah.
So yeah, the creatures attempt to infect some of the remaining humans. Others are killed outright. The religious guy, the goat, is the first one to get owned. Proof that there is no god on Mars. But he gets infected with the weird egg tongue thing in his neck.
They were in hell.
That was a consistent theme in movies back then. I don't remember
Laying
if any
eggs,
of you've
yeah.
seen Hellboy.
Oh yeah, original Hellboy, yeah.
It had the
Great
tongue
movie.
egg laying creature.
I think that's Samael is the
Yes.
is the creature who injects eggs into you through the weird tongue thing.
Ron Perlman's our only Hellboy on this podcast.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We are
I've seen
original
either one. It's
I'm
horrible.
a Hellboy 2 apologist.
Absolutely.
Hellboy 2's
Great.
good.
It's a great movie. I'm there with you.
Guillermo was cooking.
He was.
Absolutely. And they should
I'm
have let him
always down for
continue.
what Guillermo del Toro is
Same.
cooking.
Unless it's a fish man having sex with a real woman.
Not into that.
That's
You
haram.
have to go watch that movie in an art theater.
An art theater with quotes.
where the unspoken rule is don't make eye contact with
Yes.
anybody else in the theater.
And wear galoshes.
So it was around this time where you start getting the horniness from Duke, where he starts hitting on Rosamund
Yep.
Pike's character incessantly. And yeah, it's again proof that it's a 2005 movie rather than just being absolutely repulsed by this man. She is actually, kind of being charmed by him.
Yeah, when he says that he's slanging, she was ready to go. That's all I'm saying.
Rosamund Pike did such an interesting acting job in this movie, like, doing some exposition. It was basically just exposition dumping, and doing the most ridiculous screaming you've ever seen. Just screaming when everything pops out of a wall or whatever, and just like the most committed screams you've seen in a movie. She okay, so
It actually contributed to one of my issues throughout the movie was inconsistent audio levels, where like the gunfire was so loud that if you would turn it down so that was at a comfortable level, you'd have to then turn it back up whenever anyone would speak.
I actually watched a YouTube video on why in modern movies, and especially like in the early 2000s when they're making the switch, that happens. It was like, something with the speakers going from like the dynamic fucking like Dolby surround sound to making it for TV speakers, and especially how TV speakers are now where they're like on the back. It ends up they're like putting everything in one channel instead of like the 40 channels that they have in like the theater cut of it. So they have to put everything at that channel, and they have to make like gunshots louder and things like that. So it just like ends up. That's why a lot of people are using subtitles more and more. Was like the basis of this video.
No, I've just found that it's a common trend
Yeah.
of so many shows. Just the sound design is absolutely horrendous. Just the sound effects are incredibly loud, and the dialogue is a whisper. It's I think the last one that really bothered me was the Amazon superhero show with Omni-Man. Why am I blank? Invincible, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good show, but the sound design terrible, borderline unwatchable because of
Yeah,
that.
it's just like a technical issue, especially with like the TV speakers and stuff that people are using.
I just have such hearing damage now that I can just crank it up and not be bothered.
Subtitles, man.
Say thank you for my skull candy in your headphones for giving me
Yes.
hearing loss as a teenager. Shout outs to them. So I mean, a lot of this movie you can really just kind of glaze over. Not a lot happens. They're just going around. A bunch of the Marines get killed. The best
Get
one is
fucking owned.
is the pervert getting killed on the toilet. He's not just a pervert, he's a coward. He keeps going like I didn't sign up for this shit, man. But in the most perverted way possible.
Prior to his death, he gives the newbie some sort of drug.
Which
I
also
missed like what the callback was. I figured it was
like
something.
It's completely like again glossed over. It's just like the newbie is like anxious or whatever, and the pervert has some drugs on him, and he gives them to him, and then Carl Urban calls out the newbie for having saucers for pupils.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was like a Doom, like some sort of like lore callback or
Stimulant or
anything, Easter
something.
egg.
I don't think so.
Because it wasn't
think
like
so.
he gave him like coat.
It was
like,
an Easter
like
egg
a
that
pill.
Marines are horribly addicted to drugs to numb themselves from the pain of war.
Yeah, was he giving him opiates? Is this like the height
So yeah,
of the
they're-
drug crisis?
they're
Prescription pill crisis?
trafficking for the drug lords.
Yeah, for the Sackler family.
Yeah, they've been instructed to say the aliens on Mars, the why they got to the heights of civilization was because of their thriving opium fields. Gotta protect
Every
these
great
warlords.
society starts with opium fields.
Yeah. So like they're getting picked off one by one. The pervert, as he's calling in for backup, he's sitting on the toilet and gets his head chopped off.
Yeah. But before that, he does say one of my favorite lines, which is that it's bullshit that that he didn't sign up he signed up to protect and fight for the freedoms of Americans or something like that, not to protect corporations' property.
He's like, I signed up to serve my country, and not to do that. I'm like, buddy, do I have some news for you?
Bad news, pal.
Your country is a bunch of corporations in a trench coat.
Said those things are not mutually exclusive. I'm sorry to tell you.
Sucks
That
to
is,
suck.
yeah, that is a good one. I mean, this is of an era, right, where there were like decent politics in a bunch of movies where there was like a significant anti-corporate thing, because this is like around the era of like say the free trade fiascos, like the Seattle riots and that kind of shit, where that's in the zeitgeist, right? It being anti-corporate.
Well, and
Enron.
yeah, and just the fact that like the sentiment for Iraq is starting to die down, and realizing that's just a military-industrial complex.
The jingoism is starting to ring hollow. Yeah, as rather than liberating the Iraqi people, you are just there to prop up these pedophile drug warlords.
Yeah.
So they're all getting killed. Sarge is getting pissed off, is demanding to learn about the research that's being conducted at the station. Like in a
And
previous
this is where
scene-
he's just shouting.
yeah,
Where
but
this
I
is
mean,
where they
he
like
had
he
some
could have
reason
had
to be
more.
he had some reasons to be angry.
He did just
there.
lose
Sure.
like a huge chunk of his team, and
But it wasn't
His
like
brothers.
he didn't have depth to like the tone of his shouting. It was just like one cadence, like one note shouting. You know,
I can tell you as someone who went to a military school, that's a thing they teach.
sure, but he's an actor in a movie. You know what I mean? Like even if he's depicting a military person,
Well, and I didn't have much issue with the shouting. What I have issue with is like he's mad and then makes the opposite decision of like what you would expect someone to make when they're mad about what he's mad about, which is that he feels like this
he
is
doubles
bullshit.
down. He doubles
Yeah.
down. Because
No,
I mean,
we-
it's again, it's all troops know how to do, right? Is
Yeah, I was gonna say that-
follow the mission.
Yeah.
doubling down
When
is definitely the
when
right
when
move.
when anything challenges your worldview and makes you question your whole existence, what do? You double down.
Yeah.
But like so in a previous scene, we had gotten this bit of information between Samantha and Reaper. You know, they're talking about what she's doing there as the xenoarchaeologist. They've, uncovered remains of the ancient Martian race, that they were like, basically humanoid, more or less, but they were technologically advanced and had done some stuff with genetic manipulation. And that's where we get they had added the 24th chromosome.
I completely missed the part that the Martians had done that.
Yeah, it's like they had experimented with all that they had done all this stuff, giving them enhanced strength, agility, endurance, intelligence, all this. But then she like somehow is unaware, and it takes uncovering some of these data files that, like, when prompted by Sarge, that they look into, and it looks like that the Olduvai scientists were experimenting with the chromosome, injecting it into convicted murderers. Thank you, 13th Amendment.
Nice.
Do you know what my favorite part about that
Prisoners
is?
don't have rights.
How is she unaware of the gigantic chain holding cell?
The electrified holding chamber. This convicted criminal is being injected with it, and instead of becoming superhuman, he becomes into a monster, and then the scientists lose control of the facility. Who could have predicted that?
Who'd have thunk?
Reaper wants to destroy the data, but here
And
again, Sarge is doubling down. He's a real troop. He isn't paid to have morals. Having a conscience is for pussies.
He was there to recover that property of the capitalists, their IP, their tech, and he was going to follow through no matter what.
This is where we
I'd
actually
like to
start
point
getting the
out
heel turn.
That the prompt of they inject one bad person with it, turns into a monster, and then they lose control of the facility is very in the times for like mediocre video game plot.
Yeah,
that is like the kickoff to a very like average like Resident Evil knockoff.
Yeah, Reaper wants to destroy the data. Sarge is, adamant about they gotta complete their mission. So you start not seeing like, oh yeah, Sarge, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, he's the bad guy. He's actually the bad guy. The Marines, then more of them are dying. They're losing control of the situation. They decide they need to evacuate all remaining quarantine troop, people, that not just troops, all remaining staff back to Earth.
Prior to that, though, one of my favorite parts of the movie is that they determine that there's some genetic code.
Yeah, no, this is what's happened. This is what's
good or
happening.
bad?
They're trying to get everywhere away, but Samantha has locked herself still in the med bay and is testing and takes brain matter from because we also got the cage match fight here where Destroyer got killed fighting one of these monsters, but she's like interested with like why the beasts didn't try to infect him. So she takes like brain matter from the pervert guy and then brain matter from Destroyer and compares how like the tongue thing that they had acquired reacts to the pervert but not to Destroyer, because Destroyer was a good guy. So that there's like basically that there's they say like, oh yeah, there's 10% of the human genome hasn't been mapped. People say it's the the genetic code to the soul. That there's there's genetics to being inherently good or evil. We love some eugenic bioessentialism.
I would like to point
Hey.
out that this is the least racist movie in.
I was gonna say they made the black guy
2005.
good.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. They made the black.
Surprised there
the good
wasn't a
guy.
complaint about the woke mob injecting their beliefs.
Yeah, for real. That's very progressive of them.
So like, yes, like that there are, good people become superhuman as planned, but then the evil become mindlessly violent who need to infect all other evil people, which is hilarious because we find out that 89 to like 90% of, I don't know why I said 89, but like all the people that they come across are evil. Then there's
Yeah.
everybody in the station is evil because they're all getting
Even the
infected.
scientist that the Van Gogh guy.
Well, I
that
mean,
end
yeah,
up-
they
crack
injected
open
a-
his
I mean,
chest.
he's evil.
injected
He is evil. He did
serum.
he
That
did
is
a
pretty evil.
he did a eugenics. So yeah. But yeah, and this is the reason though that that the Martian civilization was destroyed. Basically, it's like that they're tampering
They
with
were
all
all
this
bad.
and more of them. Yeah, they were more bad than good, and they just were overrun by all the monsters. So that they got to move out of the facility. The facility is lost. They got to
Got to
they
go
gotta
in
get
that silver goop.
they got to get gooped back to Earth.
Which is
They
where
Pinky
the
fucks
rest
up.
of which they've already evacuated the remaining living people to Earth from the station.
Oh yeah, and that's what it was. It's like is that they had evacuated all those all those people, but then Pinky fails to hold the wormhole from a creature that's getting in, so it escapes to Earth. They need to now go back to Earth to kill it all, to purge, to make sure that it doesn't get to the surface, that it doesn't keep the quarantine at least that far, because the quarantine has failed on Mars, so they got to like keep it controlled in Earth. So
I didn't realize that.
yeah, so Sarge
Yeah.
Sarge like decides that they got to kill every last person that he's got alive. If it breathes, kill it.
Yeah.
Can't trust it.
Has he
Quarantine's
killed
gotta be total.
the rookie yet?
No, this is what happens then. It's like that. It's got to be contained at any cost. The kid, once they're back on Earth, the team rookie, he refuses to kill a group of women and children that he finds holed up, surviving. That they've obviously not been affected. He like refuses to follow orders, so Sarge shoots him in the throat.
Of course, because the guy who stands up for innocence needs to be purged.
It's like what he gives a line like insurrectionist insubordination is punishable by death.
Yes.
But one by one, the few remaining members of the RRTS are killed off by the infected humans. Sarge gets dragged away while Reaper and Samantha escape temporarily. I feel like it was the Rock breaking character as he's getting pulled away, where he says something like, "I'm not supposed to die." It's like it's like how it was like written in his contract in the Fast and Furious and like DC movies that he can't like lose so many fights,
can't lose a fight.
can't take this much damage, like can't do this and that.
Is this the last fight he ever loses? Is that why he changes to Dwayne the Rock Johnson? He had to do a little
image rebranding.
Yeah. Had to restart the router.
No, I totally feel like that was him breaking character. It's like, it's said in the contract, I'm not supposed to die. You tricked me. So we learned that guys. So he's clearly the bad guy now. But as they're fighting off the people that drag away Sarge, Reaper gets hit by a ricocheting bullet. He's bleeding out. Samantha, before they had evacuated, swiped one vial of the 24th chromosome, and it's like, I know you're inherently good.
Evil.
Yeah, but it's like, I know you're good.
So you're a Marine.
But you're a special Marine. You're a science Marine.
A science Marine.
Yeah. So she injects him with the shit to heal his wounds. So we find out, because when he wakes up, it's in the first person view.
Mhm.
Carl Urban is Doom Guy.
Yeah, and that's
is the Doom
another
guy.
point at the screen moment for me.
Me too.
So they did
I was
a
like,
Doom.
But still, it's they shifted this completely goofy ass first
Oh,
person
yeah.
view.
grainy. They like
I
made
love
it
it, though.
grainy to try to pixelate it.
I love it, though. They got
it's
the music
incredibly
going.
Goofy. It's incredibly goofy. But it's like I felt like they didn't like really beyond him like having some healing abilities. They didn't like.
No, he does a cool
He-
jump flip at one point over
Yeah.
the rock.
Yeah.
That's
I don't know.
the
I feel like they didn't like do much about like him becoming a superhuman.
I agree because
Obviously,
I
it's his
wasn't fully
reaction
sure.
times, and he made his bullets stronger.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah. He's. I guess it's like he would have died to all those monsters if he didn't have faster reaction time.
Also,
But-
in his fight with the Rock, when the Rock takes that fucking the metal and wraps it around his arm, why
Uh-huh.
not just make that a fucking sword and just pierce the motherfucker? You know what I mean? He ends up just making it like a gauntlet.
I
That
don't know.
bothered me.
Because brass knuckles are way cooler.
No, I
yeah.
would have just fucking
Well, before that,
Like
he's got to
Wolverined him.
he's got to kill the Pinky Demon. He's got to
Yeah.
kill.
Sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
Which is directly pulled from Doom 3. That
Yeah,
is a
he-
1-to-1.
and he kills it with the chainsaw.
Cuts its
Which
Throw
I'm
back.
pretty sure is a straight from Doom 3 like kill
It is.
animation that they recreated.
There's one other thing that happens there, and it's after he passes out after Rosamund gives him the 24th chromosome, and then he comes back to, and like Rosamund's nowhere to be found in like and he ends up finding her in this like random hallway on the
Yeah,
ground.
how's
We have
she
no
not been
idea what
infected?
happens. Like what?
And how has she not been infected if that's
Yeah.
the case? I kept asking myself that as well. But you know who has been infected? Sarge. He's got the
Sarge.
bite on his neck. You know, he's got the goop. He's got the goop, folks. He starts
Vampire.
to transform. You know, he gets special mutant knuckles. Eventually his face with some very bad CGI, his face starts changing. But you know, they duke it out. They've got their hand-to-hand fight, but eventually Reaper defeats Sarge by throwing him through the arc, followed by a grenade, which blows him and the arc up. So the portal's destroyed. Research into the
Bye-bye.
24th chromosome is, as far as we know, trapped on Mars, where no one will ever be able to use it for evil. And the film ends with Reaper carrying an unconscious Samantha riding the elevator from the facility up to the surface. And that is the film. So we all watched the unrated version, like
Yes.
the expanded version, which is like 10 minutes extra. I don't really know what
Yeah.
would be
I don't know
different
what
about
the
it,
additional scenes are.
but this movie was like, I mean, it's some perfectly serviceable, you know, B or C tier, you know, action horror film, but like it still just really bothers me that they couldn't just fully commit and go to hell. It's like,
Yeah.
why do you think that that's going to appeal to a wider audience than? I mean, was there some sort of? I mean, it's like
I think they're
you're getting
worried.
to an era at that time where, I mean, I don't know. See, like evangelicals are in a huge boom period at that point. You know, there is an equal pushback to, you know, over religious stuff, like, you know, people who don't like Bush and whatever, and don't like, you know, evangelicals taking power. You know, that's when they start like exerting their own will to power and start taking like political prominence. It's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know if they're thinking like, oh yeah, the liberals who don't like that are going to not watch this movie yet. We'll get maybe evangelicals and all doom heads, you know, like,
So-
I don't know why
Weird.
they make
I
that.
think that, like, I mean, one, you're only for a few things. You're only 10 years out from the Doom congressional hearings. So I think that is definitely something to do with like the gore, or like not tying it directly to the lore of the game.
You can't show literal demons.
Yeah, and but the demon thing specifically, I think more has to do with like culturally at the time. Like this is where you start seeing people fucking start looking at Monster energy drink cans, and there's like that big campaign that was
What?
like satanic. Yeah, there was Yeah, the Karens of the day, the crystal mommies.
Yeah, the 3 claw marks, something
Yeah.
666, something Satan.
Blah blah blah. Like insert whatever fucking crazy Catholic fucking evangelical.
It's just middle class white women who have more anxieties and more
Yes.
time, more free time than they do
And
common
at that
sense.
point in time, the women with anxiety were just being given, high grade opiates to deal with their problems.
Yeah. Well, and so I think that like moving it to Mars, like whitewashes it in a sense and gets rid of that like element of
It's
like devil
sci-fi.
hysteria.
Yeah, it's sci-fi
it's more
nonsense,
sci-fi.
not religious, negative religious imagery. Yeah, it's a weird time.
Yeah,
early,
it really is.
early aughts were a weird time, folks.
But it's like, at the same time, it's still like in the game, they find a portal to hell in space and they're using it for, I think, like energy or something.
Of course.
So like there's still a sci-fi.
would.
I don't know. It's just such a
I
strange.
mean, in the original
sure.
games, I don't really think there was even that much lore. It's just
No,
like
no.
you're in hell. You're in hell.
It
I
is
know
space,
that Doom,
it is
Doom
space hell.
2, Doom 2 in particular is hell comes to Earth.
Earth, yeah.
Yeah, but just so like my thought is think of like putting demons on the screen rather than just like sci-fi monsters. So like yes, the game itself is still sci-fi. I don't think that that takes away from
was
it.
there a
but
big pushback to we'll just bring it up again. Was there a big pushback to Hellboy because of
Not that I remember.
Not that I remember.
I mean, it's a comic book movie, but like it's a comic book series that portrays religious and various mythological creatures.
he's also an anti-hero, so I think that's different. Like you could get away with that more, whereas like I don't know, you're still fighting demons in hell that's in Doom, but
I guess Hellboy was also they like made the antagonist Rasputin in the Nazis.
Yeah.
yeah,
But, like-
so I there's definitely other things at play there, and I'm not saying that like every movie is going to
Well-
whitewash. I just think like Doom
So
in particular.
the first Hellboy was 2004, so it was a year before
Yeah,
this.
it's before this.
Yeah.
No, so actually here's what I think. If you make it demons, then you can't have people changing, and then it misses the story or the
Why not?
theme.
They get corrupted.
Bad
They
people
get
turning into
corrupted.
demons is
theme
But that's too
of-
scary for the white women in
I don't think they-
Say what wine moms were going to see Doom in 2005.
No, but it's whether they're letting their 16-year-old son go see it or something like that, or like 13-year-old.
What was it rated? What was it
R.
rated?
R. Yeah, it was R.
It was an R. But yeah.
because of horribly gory violence.
Yeah.
It really is like
It's probably mostly the swearing that makes it R.
I feel like if it was
I was gonna say
released
most
now,
of the
it'd be
violence is
PG-13.
obscured by a very dark set.
Yeah,
it was probably the swearing and the ripping the ear off.
Yeah.
The jelly ear.
And Reaper doing some hand mutilation to kill Sarge at the very end.
Stigmata making himself Jesus. Jesus Christos. That's what I thought. I was like, oh, they made him Jesus.
They're doing a Jesus analogy there. Incredible.
Stigmata.
Another just casual reference to the stuff.
See, they were able to make the hero Jesus so that they were appeasing to the wine moms.
I was just
No,
looking
but
something. Go ahead.
I think if it's demons, it just doesn't land as well. That the real evil is humanity, and it's trying to fuck with eugenics.
Also, it's all.
And that the
It very
Marines are
well
bad.
could be a critique on like the anti-vax movement of that time. That's like a crescendo of the you're gonna get autism if you vaccinate your kids.
That's when it first peaked.
Yeah, so that that's one of the peaks there in that. So I wonder if that's a critique of bioengineering things are gonna give you an extra chromosome instead of taking one away, and then you're gonna end up They were doing an ableism.
I was looking this up, and apparently the lore from classic Doom is that the Doom Marine was, originally human from Earth, served the Marines, but was dishonorably discharged for assaulting his commanding officer. This is great. For discharged
yes.
from assaulting his commanding officer after refusing to fire upon a crowd of unarmed civilians.
Yes.
Does it say who this
Anti-Marine.
supposed to be?
Anti-Marine through line.
But it's like he's the good Marine. He's
Yeah.
the good one. There are honorable Marines amongst the
You
bad.
too could be an honorable Marine if you join the U.S. Marines.
But it's
Then
one
go
of
to your
6.
local recruiter.
It's 1 out of 6.
You'll know if you're one of the good ones because they won't give you tactical crayons.
You get a desk job.
You're a science Marine.
Like I found this like entertaining enough. I don't know. I think it's going to be kind of a constant refrain for me. It's like, oh, I go into these adaptations, and particularly the movies, expecting them to be really bad, and I'm kind of pleasantly surprised by that they're not as bad as I thought. But like, it's more just like that my own expectations are so low
Yeah.
that they're able to reach such a low barrier that, like,
I also think that
my
if this
standards aren't high enough.
If this movie was made 10 years later, it would have been 45 minutes longer and much worse.
I mean, this was still with the director's cut almost 2 hours.
Yeah, just
I
short
know,
of
but
2.
that's like relatively short. It was like with the director's cut, and that was including all the credits and shit. It was a hour 52, and the credits were pretty long. So it's like, a hour 45 movie. That's pretty. It was short.
Yeah, that probably
movie.
would have put because the other one was like about 10 minutes shorter, so it probably put it right around
90-minute
90
movie.
minutes.
So like,
which
if
no, it doesn't need
if
to
it
be
went
longer
over
than
that 2-hour mark, even with the credits, then it's a completely different movie that's way too drawn out. I think
Well, you see,
even the
the
director's
90-minute
cut
movie
is
back then was
close.
perfectly built for TV
Yes,
because it allowed a 90-minute movie to be stretched to 2 hours by putting ads in.
exactly,
Like
and that's another reason
they
they
love
ran
those
it
types
on.
of blockings.
They ran it on
And-
Sci-Fi all the fucking time.
Yeah, and just to kind of add to that, it's I agree with you, Ben. These are never as bad as my initial expectations, but it definitely is helped by that time frame. Like there was no point in this movie where I'm like, all right, it's time to get to the end. Like it still feels okay from a pacing perspective, whereas I feel like a lot of movies nowadays, by the time the 3rd act starts, I'm like, let's just wrap this.
Yeah, I was done with this movie 20 minutes ago.
Like Uncharted, where
so-
like halfway
so-
through
so-
you're like, what the fuck?
Mike, you're saying like, oh, if this movie was made 10 years later, then you'd get the 2019 Doom Annihilation.
How long was
which-
that one?
Only 1 hour and 36 minutes.
Oh, wow.
But it's otherwise say problematic to its gamer fan base because it was Lady Doom. It was Doom Lady instead of Doom Guy.
Fucking woke mob.
How dare they?
Can't believe they made Doom political.
Yeah, I think if we proved anything, is that Doom is an apolitical franchise. Because I think it is correct. Like I think we like misattributed it in other episodes or whatever. It was I guess I think they are mods. It wasn't like an official thing, but it was one of the early Doom games had like a very popular mod. It's where the final boss is Margaret Thatcher. where you kill Margaret Thatcher. So it's like the community itself
Pretty
has
sure it
always
is a
been
mod,
very
yeah.
very politically minded. Has been very very critical of all these things. So it's an interesting dynamic at play here. But yeah, fans and general critics alike did not care for this film.
No.
Did we do a rating system for these?
If we haven't, we should.
Because like what should we've got our.
So if we do that though, we need to decide if it's on a scale, if it's on a
Are we grading on a
curve?
curve?
Is it on a curve or is it just as a movie, because
Yeah,
those are two different scores.
I mean, you could give them both. You can
Like,
give
how
the
is it-
video game adaptation grade, and you can give the movie grade.
Yeah, that's what I like. That's what I like to do. So, all right, let's go around the horn then. See what do we grade this? We can maybe give it an average. And do we do a number scale or
Yeah,
Yeah.
just go out of 10. Keep it
Yeah,
simple.
out of 10.
no decimals?
You can
no
go single
fractions?
decimal place. You can go
All right.
single decimal
All
place.
right.
I don't want no double, triple decimal places. No 8.398. None of that bullshit. This isn't engineering. I don't need to tolerance our fucking.
All right, Mike, you just stepped away. We're gonna do a rating system. We're gonna do as a film and as a adaptation. So two different ones. Who wants to go first?
I'll jump out there. As a film, I give this a 5 out of 10. I'll watch it. It's fine. It's not something that I'm gonna turn off halfway through. It'll pique my interest enough for me to be engaged. So I think a 5 is fair from a just general film perspective. Adaptation side, I'm gonna bump it a little bit. I'll give it a 6.5. I'm not ready to hit the 7 mark. 6.5 feels about right. It hits some things you want, doesn't have them all, but enough there for me to go above a 5 on the adaptation.
Right, who's next?
I'll go next. I agree with you on the adaptation score. I was going to go 6.5 on adaptation. However, I disagree with you on movie score. I'm going to go lower. I'm saying this is a 4.5 movie.
It's fair.
And it is one of those things that, like, I enjoy it because I enjoy bad movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like a carnal thing that I enjoy.
Me too.
But I know for a fact that this is a bad movie.
I love bad action movies. It's one of my favorite.
Absolutely.
It's one of my favorite pastimes.
All right, so I'm in Matt's camp on this one. As a movie, I'll give it a 6 even, because anything that's on like Sci-Fi or FX, just like on repeat from back in the day, those were good. You could turn them on. You do shit. You could play Pokemon in the background. You're gonna catch a zinger here or there.
You're supposed to be doing homework. You're supposed to be putting a project together.
Exactly. You're supposed to be learning Latin, doing translations. But as an adaptation, I put it at like a 4. I mean, again, I'm not a big, I haven't played much of Doom, but just from what I know, it was, it deviated a lot. It didn't really focus. The only time you knew it was like a video game thing was at the end. If you were someone that did not know Doom at all and were just like going to watch a movie, it's not until the end that you'd be like, oh, is this a video game?
All right, so I am going pretty similar across the board. I guess we'll get our average here, but I'm going a solid 5 for film. It's serviceable background noise, like you just said. I had a few moments like the ridiculous nature that bumped it up from a much lower score. Like all the times when I'm pointing at the film, like pointing at the screen, doing the Leo thing, those are all always pluses for me. It did get a few smiles from me here and there. The pervert character alone was a highlight for me. I loved that actor, and the character was so ridiculous. I enjoyed that
sleazeball look.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. But it's just like so much of the film itself was just it just bled together.
Oh yeah.
It's just like there not a lot happens, it's pretty much all the same, and it's not particularly scary.
This is the type of movie that you could fall asleep in the middle of and wake up and not realize you missed anything.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's
For sure.
a lot of the sequences are exactly the same. They go out to check out all these things. They've got to go out and check them again. Very little has happened. The creatures are not particularly scary or eventful. The deaths aren't particularly that many gruesome deaths. I think the pervert had one of the better deaths.
And
Um,
Duke's was pretty cool. He got pulled through the grate.
Through the grate. That one was
Yeah.
okay. That one was all right. It produced
I-
one of the good screams from Rosamund Pike for that
Mhm.
one.
Absolutely.
She's crying
Yeah,
for that hidden big dick that's getting shredded to pieces. Yeah.
Secret schlong.
Yeah, she's crying for that. But yeah,
Orgasms could have been.
very middling there. Adaptation, I gotta go 4. I got a 4. This is a poor adaptation. This is, it was even lacking in the token kind of box checking things to do. I wasn't a particular fan of the FPS thing. It was funny, which like I don't necessarily think it's supposed to be funny. So like that is not great. Like I don't know. I don't necessarily know that they needed to do it. It was like that's the one box that they're checking, that and the big fucking gun, and that's it. Like everything else,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
you could pretty much miss.
You could never know that it was a super or not superhero movie, a video game movie.
Yeah, outside of that 5-minute long FPS
Yeah, thing at the
perspective
end,
thing.
and if you fell asleep through that, that was the middle for you, and you're taking a nap.
So and
You're
it's just
missing it.
I can't get over the turning it from hell to space. That's just so integral to what Doom is, that like you gotta fault it pretty heavily from that.
That's fair. And I think, Ben, you brought up something that I hadn't thought about that I think is a good point. And that's that this movie has no scariness to it. And the Doom games definitely have at least some good jump scares. And there's really none of that. Like the scariest sequence is the very opening one.
I mean, yeah, again, which I told you was undercut almost immediately by their
Yes.
song choice.
Absolutely.
But they're like I mean, they're going for an adaptation of Doom 3, which is the most
Slow paced.
it was the most, but it's the one that is most meant to be a horror shooter game. The other ones aren't really, again, meant to be that much, to have that much
Doom
horror.
3 was more chasing the Resident Evil style than trying to be Doom at that point.
Yeah, because like Doom is more of a horde game. Like it's the volume of the demons that make it a challenge, as opposed to a couple demons.
And that's why like the reboot in 2016 was such a like well received installment, because it harkened back to that feel of unending horde and like the theoretical high paced nature of the game, because like we could all agree that Doom probably felt like a higher paced game back in the day than it actually is.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's some parts that
when
are
you
still
play
that are still pretty high paced. When you get to some
But
of the
like
master
Doom
levels,
2016 and Doom Eternal are like very high tempo games where it's almost, I've heard them described as rhythm games, where it's basically a dance you're doing through the level of just like constantly, different button combinations. And
well, you see that also with like the speedrunning stuff within classic Doom.
I think that's very true. I mean, the newer Doom games are, if it even tells you, stopping is death. Like you always want to be moving as the
forward
as the
momentum,
Space Marine.
Which I guess there's a decent amount of credit to be given here. Is this movie didn't drag. They don't linger.
Yeah.
They don't linger in any of these moments. So that's always good. So
they don't linger because I don't think they have any actors.
There's not much to actually linger on, yeah.
Force a
or to carry a scene in that way.
No,
but
people talking in rooms is not this movie's strength.
If we're going to a single decimal point, our rating, our average rating for the film is 5.1, adaptation 5.2.
All right.
Fair. That is perfectly fair, and a great bar to set as a dead center.
Yeah.
Like now we know, like when things fall, are they above the Doom line or are they below the Doom line?
We have a good baseline.
Have the Doom line.
Mm-hmm. So we can do a retroactive score for Uncharted. Yeah.
Uncharted.
Yeah, retroactive Uncharted score. I thought Uncharted was a better movie middling adaptation again, but better than both than this, I'd say, in both categories.
Yes.
I was
better
going to go
quality.
I was probably going to go 6.5 movie, 6.5. I'll probably do 6.5 both. Maybe
think
do
that's
7.
fair.
Maybe do 7 for the movie because it was like it's
too long.
I don't
it's-
think
it's
it gets
really
a
getting.
C.
It's close
Yeah.
to it. It's very close in my mind. Maybe like do a 6.9. Nice.
Like if Uncharted came to my office and was pleading for an extra point to get to the C, I don't think I could give it to him.
Same.
Yeah. It's really tough for me to do that. But that's where I'd put it at a solid 6.9.
Go ahead.
I'll say that I'll take your 6.5 on movie, and I will also say I think it's a decent. I'm gonna give it the 7
For the
Adaptation. Yeah, I'm similar with Matt on this. I think I'm gonna go lower on the movie. I really don't like it as a movie. I think it's really just not good in my opinion. So I'm going with a 6. I'll give it above the 5 on the movie side, but I can't go above a 6 just because
Yeah.
the flying helicopter ship stuff, no.
Painful.
Oh god. So 6
Pain.
on the
The
movie.
Pirates of the Caribbean
Yeah. Ugh.
knockoff.
You
Six
see,
on
one
the
of my
movie.
like base check boxes that I give it is that it had actual characters from the game
Yeah, that's true.
and like had them by their name in like rough characterization.
I'll go with
Missing a
6 on the
mustache.
adaptation. Little devil's number there.
Yeah, I'm going to 6 for both. 6 and 6 on both of them.
All right.
I found it more entertaining than I thought it would, which again, this seems to be the pattern for me.
I definitely had a point where I was like, I thought this movie was over an hour ago.
Yeah.
That point hit for me when they found the salt. I was like, okay, cool, that's the treasure.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
All right. Yeah. Well, if you want our actual opinions, go back and watch that or listen to that episode.
We're
But
just doing a retroactive.
I say that'll do it for us today. We will be off next week, and then after that, we are doing Jedi Fallen Order as our game focus
Ooh,
episode.
yay.
Can't wait for that one. I'm putting on my hater cap and clocking in. But till then, you can follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/campaign comrades, where you can come in and join the conversation live. We are diversifying our content on Twitch alongside what we're doing here on the podcast. Got some interesting things going on, some good games that are being played. You can check us out there. Sure, follow us on other social media. Check out our YouTube, check out our Twitter at Camptown Pod. Mike, do you have a
No,
plug?
because I'm behind on my card selling.
All right. So do not look for him anywhere where you might get playing cards. He does not want. But till then we will see you in the future. Until then, good gaming to you all, and we love you very much. Bye bye.